Oh, hi, Smogs. How's your sex life? So, tonight for Impact Wrestling, brother, you had the Redefined television special, I guess you could call it. It's not really a pay-per-view, but it's kind of like a built-up to be sort of like a pay-per-view, like kind of like a free pay-per-view on television, I guess. But needless to say, I'll get to my overall thoughts on the show after I review basically everything here because I want to make sure that, I get my final thoughts because my brain's kind of in a jumble a bit about the show. Kind of like mixed emotions about the show. It's kind of like a interesting sort, to say the least. But needless to say, we started off tonight with the X Division Championship between Brian Cage, of course, the champion, versus Phoenix. And Phoenix had his brother Pentagon Jr. with him, the Lucha Brothers. And this was a pretty solid match. I always, because I thought, okay, well, both these guys are baby faces. Brian Cage probably should be the heel. He's the bigger guy and whatnot. So he pretty much was the heel for majority, if not the whole entire match. And I thought that was a good, smart decision. Brian Cage did a pretty good job as a heel. Too good, in my opinion, that made me think, damn, they're going to turn this guy heel somewhere, somewhere down the road, aren't they? But needless to say, this was a very fun match. Probably the match of the night, actually, to be honest with you, because this was just great. The F5 that Cage hit on Phoenix was very clean, and Cage ended up winning the match after hitting was it a powerbomb kind of deal right after the top rope. And after the match was over, you had OVE. Excuse me, my eyes are like watering for some reason. What the hell? Uh, OVE came down to the ring, and they started attacking the 3-on-2 attack on the Lucha Brothers. Cage is kind of like on the rampway. He's like looking, should I go? Should I go? No, I'm not gonna go. Screw it, I'm going. And then he goes over and takes out all members of the OVE pretty much by himself. And yeah, not bad. Obviously, sets up for a future. Brian Cage, Pentagon Jr., Phoenix versus OVE. A 6-man tag match down the road. So I don't know if they'll save that for Bound for Glory because you got to remember Bound for Glory is in October. And actually, we're about to hit September, so they actually could maybe save that to Bound for Glory. Take that back. But moving on. Excuse me. Moving on, we had this little update by Josh Matthews. First of all, we'll take that back. We had Bobo, yes, we had a Bobo signing. Yay, Bobo signing. He drives into like the garage, and the garage attendant's like, I'm not letting you in. Scarlett Bordeaux gets out of the car, and apparently Scarlett Bordeaux, the second she walks out of even when she's in a car and she walks out, there's still smoke coming out of her. I get it. She has a show called The Smoke Show. Come on. It's kind of ridiculous, I'm not gonna lie to you. But hey, she's over on the show, so. And she basically just whispers to the guy, open sesame. And the guy's like, oh yeah, bring him in, man, bring him in, come on, let him in. And they bring him in. And they had a GWN moment of the week, which, long story short, was Grado versus Al Snow. That match was like a minute and a half, at least they showed of it. Grado won, but then you had Samoa Joe, yes, that's Samoa Joe. WWE #1 contender still, Samoa Joe. MLW World Champion, Low Key. By the way, Low Key's voice is just... I always said this about Low Key. His voice has never matched, like, himself. Like, himself, you just picture it, not man. It goes, hey guys, I am Low Key, and I will fight you for my championship. It's like a movie trailer voice. Like, what the hell? And Kenny King was there. And basically it was just showing Drew Galloway, aka Drew McIntyre. I changed my ways, Gil. Debut on Impact several years ago. But Josh Matthews was letting us know the update on Richie! Because apparently a lot of people were very upset about last week's segment about Richie getting hit by a car by the OGs. And yeah, Richie will be okay apparently. That he is alive. They don't know much of his condition, but he is like stable. The kid's not dead. Good. So before anyone goes, oh my god, a kid got rid of. This is the same people that's all like, oh, I love the Attitude Era, man. We need to bring the Attitude Era back. Someone gets ran over with a car. Oh my god, this is too sensitive for me. You know, times people got ran over or had to do something with the car and freaking the Attitude, both in WWF/WCW, and I think ECW they probably did it too. I'm not entirely sure. But needless to say, back to this. You go to the OG's clubhouse, and OG's and freaking Hernandez is like, oh, we can't go soft now. And freaking Eddie Kingston's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You ran over a kid. You're supposed to run over Conan. Or any of those guys. Not a kid. What is wrong with you? So at least Eddie Kingston kind of has a soul in this scenario. Needless to say, that was interesting. You had Alicia Atout, aka Kathy Kelly 2.0. Interviewed Tessa Blanchard, and Tessa Blanchard's like, oh yeah, I feel the pressure. My grandfather, I'm a third generation superstar. My grandfather was a wrestler. My stepdad was big. My father was in one of the greatest stables of all time in the Four Horsemen. The pressure is always on me, but I'm gonna take home the gold now. So then you had Eli Drake come to the ring. And he made an open challenge, and I'm going, well, if this was a certain company, it'd be a mid-card open challenge, but no one's a champion here, so still an open challenge, though, nonetheless. Brandon Tidwell made the challenge. Now, if you probably remember, wait a minute, did you mention him last week, Chris? Absolutely, I did. Brandon Tidwell was one half of the tag team that upsetted the Cult of Lee, thanks to Eli Drake and the distraction. So Eli's wrestling with his street clothes, and the match was about, I don't know, 20 seconds? Like, I literally got up to get water, come back, and the match was already over. I'm like, okay. So, Eli Drake hits the gravy train. 1, 2, 3, bam. The end. All right. So then we had Alicia interview both Moose and Eddie Edwards, obviously the main event. Edwards and Moose versus the team of Killer Cross and the Impact World Champion, the greatest man to ever live, Austin Aries. And for anyone that's just now watching my video going, Chris, why are you quoting the greatest man to ever live? Because again, if you let Thea Trinidad just... The woman called you out on Twitter several weeks ago about she never wants to hear from you again because you gave her a promise ring. Really, dude? A promise ring? What are we in freaking 8th grade? It's more like 6th grade crap. Take that back. But anyways. So yeah. Eddie Edwards tells Moose that he means more to him than his kendo stick. Take this... Your mind goes somewhere with that one. I don't want to, though. So you have a triple threat match for the Knockouts Championship. You have Allie versus Tessa Blanchard versus Su Yung, who of course is the champion. And I was kind of disappointed in this match. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like these ladies could have gone a little bit longer. And while it is triple threat, I get it, It's more than just obviously one-on-one. I felt this was a bit of a cluster at times, especially at the end more than anything. I mean, you had a nice cool spot where... I think it was like by accident, like Tessa was kind of like bent over, and then like Allie jumped on top of her back and then knocked out Su Yung, who was on the apron. And you had Tessa Blanchard pick up Su Yung, and she tossed Su Yung right into the undead bridesmaids. That was kind of cool. And they included one spot where I think it was like Allie had no, it was like Tessa like. It was really weird. Like, I think Tessa had a submission on Su Yung, but then Allie had a submission on Tessa, and it was like, oh, someone's got to tap out. But, the ending was still kind of a bit of a cluster. I wasn't too thrilled about that. I get it. Tessa's the heel. Allie drops Su Yung, who after, like, Su Yung had the claw on Allie, but then Allie gets rolling up by Tessa with the tights. 1, 2, 3, your winner, and who? Knockouts champion, Tessa Blanchard. And, I thought it was... cool to see Tessa win. I thought she deserved it. I know some people probably might say, well, girl, Chris, she just debuted the company just 7 months ago. Isn't this shoving her down her throat? She's a little too quick. No, that'd be WWE giving Gail Kim the championship like her very first night on Monday Night Raw. But needless to say, yeah, your beloved Gail Kim. I'm not letting that go, Impact Wrestling fans. I'm sorry. But needless to say, sorry, not sorry. It's a good win. She's a strong competitor. Hopefully they book her to have the belt for at least like a 4 or 5 month reign. Because, I don't get it. Su Yung only had the belt for like 3 or 4 months. But, a lot of things can happen. And I'm still waiting for freaking like Kiera Hogan to turn heel on Allie. Even though Kiera Hogan can't even cut a promo to save her life. So I can't even imagine her trying to... Even though cutting a heel promo shouldn't be that difficult. Just like bash on your old friend. But anyways. We had Gama Singh backstage, and he was looking for his boys. And he found them. He started hitting them with the broom. Damn, don't piss him off. Oh, yeah, he also had an interview backstage of Tessa after she won the belt. And she was like, oh, I'm going to have this belt for a very long time. And, now she's a measuring stick. And anyone wants to see her, see how tough a diamond really is, be her guest. Damn straight. And then we see LAX in their clubhouse, kind of similar to what you had earlier in the night with the OGs. Conan was there, and Conan was like, oh yeah, this was really bad. And Santana's really anxious. He wants to do something now, but Ortiz is like, you need to chill. And then Conan just like walks off. I guess he has an idea, but he's not going to share with us this week. We have to wait till like next week or the following week for him to tell us when that's going to happen. I have no freaking clue. But next we had the Smoke Show with Scarlett Bordeaux and Jesus freaking A, man. First of all, Scarlett Bordeaux changed her outfit the second time in the span of like, I think it said on Twitter it was 20 minutes. Realistically, it was like 40. But like, what the hell was this? Alright, I get it. Scarlett Bordeaux, she's like this heel advice instigating guru. By the way, we had no KM and Farah bots this week. Boo. Anyways, back to this. It was just, this was, you had Grado, Joe Hendry. By the way, shout out to Grado, friend of Blue Jays. Cheap pup. Grado, Joe Hendry, and Katarina walk in. Scarlett's wearing a very, like, slow cut, seductive, outfit, dress, whatever. And Grado, for some reason, has a water bottle that's wide open in between his legs. And he's all like, oh, yeah. Joe Hendry tells Grado that they had a match. They can't have a match against the Desi Hit Squad next week. And Katarina claims that she loves Grado, but Joe's just a friend. Is a good friend. And Scarlett whispered something to Grado, and Grado started spilling the water that was between his legs, and it busted open, which is supposed to represent him busting his load, I suppose. Obviously, that's kind of the obvious situation that we're going here. And, like, he ran off, and he's like, oh, I'm having a stroke. And then he got up and ran away, and Katarina's like, oh, leave your hands off my boyfriend and my friend. And Scarlett's like, I already did, though. And, oh, my God. This was... I get it, they're a PG company, yet they're trying to push their boundaries here with the Scarlett Bordeaux thing, but... It's so obvious. Who's ready for the Katarina versus Scarlett Bordeaux match like Bound for Glory? Actually, they'll probably do Scarlett Bordeaux and freaking Grado versus Joe, Hendry, and Katarina. What the hell, they probably will. Anyways, next we had Petey Williams versus Rich Swann. This match was not too bad. It was alright. It was kind of short, but I get they had to get to the main event soon. There was a decent build-up to this match. People were like, what build-up? Well, Rich Swann was injured. Petey Williams took a spot at the pay-per-view. Rich Swann wants to prove he's better than Petey Williams. Kind of writes itself in a way. So Rich Swann wins after hitting a standing shooting star press, which looked very nice. And Rich Swann wins. Okay, not bad. And after the match was over, Rich Swann goes backstage, he's interviewed, and Matt Sydal, for flying ducks. Matt Sydal interrupts him and is all like, oh, that was a great job out there. But I've been X Division champion, and I know you want to be X Division champion. I could help you with your third eye. And oh my God. And he was just like, Swan was like, oh, no thanks, man. No disrespect, but I'm good on my own. And then you hear Alicia Edwards, like, screaming bloody murder. And I'm like, okay, did Eddie Edwards just get, like, thrown off a cliff? What the hell had happened? And there's Moose laying there, looked like he's dead. And you have, obviously, the little X, which is for, Killer Cross's X mark. So I'm like, obviously, Killer Cross attacked him, most likely than not. So then we go into the main event, which seems to be a handicap match, by the way. Austin Aries, world champion, and Killer Cross versus Eddie Edwards. And the match itself was, I feel like, any typical, handicap match. I think Eddie Edwards did pretty well for himself, just being just literally like a one-man team in this scenario. And out comes Moose in the middle of the match, and the crowd, that sounded like they were booing. And then I was like, oh, no, never mind, this ain't boo. And then Moose had like a bandage written all over his head. He gets tagged in. Out comes Austin Aries comes to the match. Moose looks like he's about to beat the holy hell out of Austin Aries. Moose changes his mind, spears freaking Eddie Edwards out of nowhere, beats the hell out of him. Referee calls for the match, so I guess it ends in a no contest. And Killer Cross, Austin Aries, and Moose just beating the hell out of Eddie Edwards, particularly Moose. And they did one spot where they had a chair on Eddie Edwards. He's at the turnbuckle, and Moose just smacks a steel chair right when the chair was around Eddie Edwards' neck. Alicia Edwards comes out. She tells him to, basically go away and slaps Moose in the face like, oh, you're supposed to be his friend, how dare you. And that was it. So Moose turned heel on Eddie Edwards. As I said on Twitter, if you thought Braun Strowman's heel turn came out of nowhere, freaking Impact Wrestling was already ahead several weeks ago when they taped the show about hold our beer for a random heel turn. Because what the hell? I'm not really... I mean, I guess I have to obviously wait to see what happens and proceeds with Moose turning heel. But you're already at a point where it's like, okay, Moose was already over. You turn him heel. Killer Kross was heel. Is still heel. Even though at one point he kind of turned babyface for like 5 seconds because in that tag team match, he fell off the apron because he didn't want to face Moose. And then you have obviously Austin Aries. And then your blown main event babyface is Eddie Edwards. You kind of have a problem with this scenario unless, you know, you're going to put some guy randomly in a babyface scenario. I don't know. I mean, to me, I think it'd be great if you put Eli Drake as a main event babyface, you know, because the guy could be over as a cocky face or as a heel. But anyways, overall impact tonight was, again, it was like a mixed bag. It was kind of weird because there were moments where I thought, okay, this is pretty good, not bad. And then there were moments where I was like, why? And again, I obviously have to wait several weeks and maybe like, oh, that's why they did that several weeks ago, you know. But I don't know. I felt kind of in a weird way, kind of a little disappointed in the show. Like, again, I'm not saying the show was god-awful. Like, calm down, because I can see it now. Oh, stick to WWE reviews. You suck. You said the show was terrible. I did not say the show was terrible. I said the show was okay. It was decent. There were obviously some flaws. And there was also some, you know, good moments. There weren't some bad moments. So, again, it's just one of those things where it's like, I have to wait to see what happens in the next few weeks. Then I could go back and say, God, that show sucked. Or, okay, that show made sense. I really like that show. So, needless to say, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed my Impact Redefined review. What you guys think about it, comment down below. If you're not subscribed to this channel, if you're new to this channel, click the subscription button down below. Would you like to follow me on Twitter? The link will also be down in the description box down below. I am out.